Today's recipe calls for yellow onion. I'm going to show you how to make the famous smashed Oklahoma onion burger. It's super simple but packs a ton of flavor. So with that said, let's get started.
The first thing we're going to do is start to make our burger patties. I started with 1 pound and 7.8 ounces or 695 grams worth of ground beef. I'm using 80-20 for this recipe. You want to use something like this. All that fat in our ground beef is going to add a ton of flavor. You can totally grind your own meat for this, but I don't have all that special equipment, so using pre-ground is totally fine. We're going to weigh out each burger patty to be 3 ounces or 85 grams worth. Once you have your ball of meat weighed out, you're going to give it a few squeezers to shape it into a beef ball. You definitely don't want to overwork it and squeeze it too tight. You want it slightly tight so we can still smash it and it won't fall apart. If you keep overworking it, the body heat from your hands will start to melt the fat. And a little pro tip for you, throw some saran wrap over your scale. This way you don't have any of them beef juices all over the place. Repeat the same process until all of your ground beef is portioned out. Some of my burgers are going to be slightly under the 3 ounce mark just because that's how it worked out. And if all of your burgers aren't the exact same, don't worry, it's going to be totally fine.
Alright, now that our burger patties are made, let's throw them in the fridge so we can start cutting our onions, or trying not to cry. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Now that our burger patties are chilling in the fridge, you're going to grab 2 medium-sized yellow onions and you're going to cut off both ends. Once you have the ends cut off, you're going to peel them. We're using the yellow onion because it's not as strong and pungent as the other types of onions. The next thing we're going to do is grab the scariest tool possible, also known as a mandolin, and we're going to slice our onions as thin as possible. You may need to adjust it a couple times until you find the right thickness. If you don't have a mando, you can use a chef's knife for this and cut them as thin as possible as well. And when you're using a mando, you want to be super careful because this thing will cut you straight in half, almost like a magic trick. And a little pro tip, whenever you're using a mando to slice anything, you want to use the palm of your hand to push your onion. This way, if anything traumatic happens, you'll slightly slice the palm of your hand instead of slicing off a whole fingertip. A couple little fun facts about this burger. It was created in El Reno, Oklahoma in 1920 during the Great Depression. The reason why it was created is because beef was super expensive at the time and onions were really cheap, so they wanted to make their beef stretch. That's why they added a ton of onions to make it go a lot further to get a fuller burger. Repeat the same process until all of your onions are cut. In the end, this is how thin your onion slices should be. They should be nice and translucent that you can see through them with the light. Once you have everything nice and sliced, you're going to set those aside so we can move on to the next step.
Now that we've cried big crocodile tears, let's get to smashing some burgers.
Now that you have your burgers made and your onions sliced, we're going to finish the rest of our prep off before we start making our burgers. You can use any type of bun you want for this. I went with a potato bun because it's super classic for a recipe like this. You're going to open those suckers up. Then once you get your buns opened, you're going to unwrap your plastic cheese, also known as American cheese slices. You're going to take it out of the plastic wrap. Doing this will save time in the end. Our burgers are going to be smashed. They're going to be super thin, so they're going to cook really fast. And having your cheese unwrapped will make the process a whole lot faster and easier. On your cooking device, you're going to turn your heat to a medium high or high. This way we get our pan ripping hot, so we get that nice hard sear on our burgers. You're going to throw a big pan over your hot heat. The bigger the better. This way you can cook more burgers off at a time. You can use whatever type of pan you have, a cast iron pan or a stainless steel pan, or if you have a griddle, whatever will work. As long as it's ripping hot, it'll do the job. Now that your pan is ripping hot, you're gonna throw 2 burger balls into your pan and give it a slight smash with your little fingies, and you're gonna hook it up with a nice healthy pinch of kosher salt. Then you're gonna hook it up with a ton of onions. Don't be too shy here. That's why it's called the onion smash burger. And don't worry if some of your onions are hanging off of your burger ball. This will actually benefit the burger because those onions will get nice and caramelized. Then you're gonna grab a sturdy spatula and smash your burgers until they're nice and thin. You kind of want to offset smash them. You don't want to smash them right in the middle. This way we get a nice tapered edge on our patties to give us a nice caramelization on our meat. You can use any type of spatula or a burger weight, whatever you have will work. If you have a slotted spatula like I do, don't worry about the beef coming through the slots. The onions will help protect and be that barrier between your meat and your spatula. Once I had mine smashed, I added even more onions because of course you have to. And once you throw your onions on, give it a small pinch of kosher salt as well. Now that you have your burgers all squashed out, you're gonna cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes or until you get that nice hard sear on it and there's that perfect crust of caramelization on your patties. And a little pro tip, if you're not sure if your patty has that nice hard sear, you can lift up the edge of it and give it the old peekaboo and see if it's ready to be flipped. Now that you have that good sear on your patty, you're gonna flip it over and you're gonna cook this side also for another 2 to 3 minutes or until you get that nice golden brown caramelization on your onions. If you're not sure what your onions should look like, they should look something like this, nice and golden brown. Once they hit this stage, you know it's time for these patties to be cheesed. Now that your patties are ready to go, you're gonna throw your cheese on top so we can finish these puppies up. A little pro tip for you, if you want your cheese to be super melty, throw a lid on top which will trap all the heat and steam in, which in turn will make your cheese super melty. Now that your cheese is all melty, you're gonna throw your burger bun on top of your patty right now. You're gonna go top bun first, which will make contact with your cheese. Then you're gonna add your bottom bun to your top bun. Then throw your lid back over everything so it becomes nice and steamy, which in turn will make our bun super soft, and it'll also help keep that fragrance of the onion inside, which will in turn infuse our burger bun to make it even more delicious. The best way to plate these suckers up is to throw your bottom bun in one hand and use your opposite hand to scoop everything up with your spatula, throw it on your bun, and give it the old pinch and pull. This way everything stays together. You can throw it on a plate, or you can be like me and pretend like you know what you're doing with this burger paper wrap. You're gonna throw your burger upside down so the top bun should make contact with your work surface, and you're gonna fold up your paper so the seam side is down. This way it's easier to hold and it catches everything. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our Oklahoma onion burger is done, let's give it the old tasteroo. So looking at it, it looks super tasty. Our meat got that nice hard sear on it. Then our onions got nice and caramelized. Then the cheese looks super melty and delicious. And then the burger bun looks super good. So shout out to the burger bun robot in the factory. You done good. So let's give it a taste. Our burger came out really good. It has that nostalgic feel to it. It's one of those classic hamburgers that are super simple but yet punch you in the face with a ton of flavor. Some of our meat got that nice hard sear on it, so it adds that caramelization flavor, which is super tasty. Our cheese is that American processed cheese, which is not good for you, but it's nice and cheesy and melty and delicious. And then our onions are all over the place. Some of them got caramelized and some didn't. The ones in the center that didn't get caramelized have that slight onion flavor, and they're nice and perfect and al dente. Then the ones on the outside got that nice caramelization on it, which brings a ton of sweetness to the table. Then the burger buns soak up all the meat juices and the sweetness from our onion to make it well-rounded and super tasty. And if you're like my friend Johnny, who's probably not watching this and has the phobia of onions, you should probably get over that because this burger is super tasty. This burger was a ton of fun to make, and this is one of those recipes that's perfect if you're trying to feed a gang of people. It's super easy, it's simple, and it comes together really fast. The only thing is I'd maybe add some acid to it to help cut through that fatness and rich from our hamburger meat and the sweetness from our caramelized onions. You can throw some homemade mayo or homemade ketchup or even homemade pickles on top, which any of those on there sounds super tasty right now. And fun fact, I've been to OKC a few times and they have a really good food scene, so if you're ever in that neck of the woods, I could hook you up with some recommendations. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. And I'm super full because I lost count on how many hamburgers I ate, so I think I'm gonna go take a nap. We'll see you on the next one. Really good. It's nice. It's nice. Has some homemade mayo or homemade ketchup. My arms are all over the place. Like I'm a beastie boy. So if you're trying to feed a ton of feefle. Yes, I did get a new apron. Thanks for asking. When I first put it on this morning though, I really didn't like how it was all bunched up here at the top. And then I realized and remembered that I bought a crossback apron and you gotta put your arms through for it to work properly. So I probably shouldn't be in the kitchen if I don't know how to put an apron on, apparently. I need supervision and an adult all the time to help me. But I like it, you know? It's really sweet.